our town board meeting for March 18th. Will you please stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Here.
Mr. Johnson? Here. Mr. Hulbert?
Here.
Mr. Warden?
Here. Okay, Mr. Clerk, communications?
No comms.
Huh?
No comms tonight.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to go to open forum. Guests shall speak in an orderly fashion or limited remarks of 5 time minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in civil tone and without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior which may result in the offender's removal from the meeting. The speaker shall not be interrupted and except in a matter of urgency. Would anybody like to speak tonight? Please come up to the microphone right here.
Good afternoon. My name is George Dermody. I'm the president of the Children's Home, and I have a matter in front of the town on a project, proposed project for Ransom Road. I thought it would be good for me to come and introduce myself and say hello, get to know, and just take my time to tell you just a little bit about hearing things about what our proposed project is and what it isn't, and how we landed on thinking that the Ransom Road site would be most appropriate. So, the project that we have been awarded through the state is in response to a challenge that's happening that's clogging up our hospitals and our emergency rooms. So the proposal is to develop an 8-bed home-like facility to be an alternative for children and their families who need help and to have them out of the hospital waiting rooms, living in hallways. So what the project isn't, it's not for children who need psychiatric care. If they need psychiatric care, that's what they need. It's not drug and alcohol. It's not for sexual offending. And it's not for young people who have committed a crime. It is for children and their families. I think that's the important part. Their families that need some help and some support as they go transition back home. And what is happening, and you may know this in our local hospitals, is that young people are cleared medically and they're cleared behaviorally, psychiatrically to return home, but things aren't quite set up for them. Their school placement might not be in place. Their family is moving or having a different place that they need to live. There are services that need to be set up, outpatient counseling, support services, and those things need to be set up. So right now, those young people wait in the hallways of UHS and of Guthrie Hospital, maybe in the emergency room, maybe in the hallways. They wait there, they clog up the hospital, they take up resources, and it's not a very good, appropriate place for them. So this has been a state initiative from the governor on down to create effective alternatives, and certainly to help families that may be struggling. Again, all of these young people have families that want them, need them, return home. Why, as we spent looking at the Ransom Road site, and why I think it makes the most sense. I've looked at properties all over throughout the county. The guidelines given by New York State were very specific, and I think Ransom Road does a lot of those things at Ransom Road site. They wanted something where a home-like structure could be built, something that had green space and allowed for recreation, allowed for quiet, something that wasn't too congested, but also was adjacent to main roads and highways for families to visit, for people to come. So the site from our estimation and working with our state partners, certainly meets a lot of those requirements and working through a lot of those things. I know I've had a chance to meet some of the neighbors, hear from some of the neighbors, and the initial information that we provided you was just that. Our architectural firm, I think you've worked with before, Delta, is very cognizant of having to meet all guidelines and regulations for things that would happen. So I know I look forward to talking and sharing information and providing factual information about the project as we go forward. And just want to thank the town board for this opportunity to at least come and start a dialogue about what we would propose to do in your town on Ransom Road. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Harold Arnold. I own a duplex on Cotellville Road, 95. And I'm here because I feel that I am being treated unfairly, being charged double for the sewer upgrade. And my reasons for that is I have one sewer line out of my house, one water meter that goes into one sewer line in the street. I don't see where my house is any different than any house on the street as far as the cost, but yet I'm being charged double for the sewer improvement, which I'm not against. I'm against paying double for it. I would like to have somebody explain to me, other than it's in the code, why I am paying double for this upgrade, because every house in that street already pays to use the sewer. We don't get it for free. When the water goes through our meter, that's how they base the cost of the sewer for us. When there's an upgrade, I honestly can't understand why they just didn't take the 2,700 houses or whatever properties was involved in, and everybody paid the same from day one, just the same amount of money each property, because we're already hooked to the sewer. So an upgrade doesn't mean that they're starting from scratch. So that's my complaint, and I would love to know why, as an owner of a duplex, which doesn't use any more water or anything else than anybody else, has to pay double for 30 years because of the sewer upgrade. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Good evening. I'm Don Husband from Ransom Road. I'm here tonight to see all the follow-up on this whole project. Last town board meeting, I know where that ended and where everything was left there. We attended the planning board meeting last week. There was a lot of discussion. They voted to send it back to the town board here to move forward with the alternate sites. That's what they wanted. So I'm here tonight. I'm assuming there's going to be discussion on the agenda when it hits a line on the agenda. I'm wondering where we're at, what's the board doing, where you guys at with this, and what's happening next, so we can keep this thing moving. We're running out of time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing nobody else, we are going to move on with the agenda. The old business, 5.1 wastewater treatment plant updates. You can see, go ahead. You want
These
to?
are the monthly updates that we provide.
Yep, everybody see the pay apps. If you're questioning the 12 through 15 pay apps for MACO 2B, we did not receive those to put them on a draw. Don't know what happened there. But we went through, Jody went through everything to see the last pay. The last one we had was pay app 11, and that was on draw 61 and August 26th of 25. So between September 25 to this present draw, which will be draw 67, none of these 2Bs were received by us to pay. So EFC they reached out to us and questioned us on,
So were they paid though?
no,
Okay.
they haven't been put on a draw to be paid. So they're being put on draw 67.
I didn't see where those were signed off by anybody on the actual payment applications, the forms.
Who's got to sign off on them? Engineering firm or Greg?
Yeah, I don't have 11, so I don't know who did it before, but they're not signed off for recommendation to pay, and they have been in the past. I just didn't dig out 11 of the
Okay.
previous ones.
There should be cover letters on all of those from B&L.
So that if they're not on, so we just know that, they went through municipal solutions, so our cover letters aren't on there, and it's provided.
I don't see cover letters on here. And, yep, there's 2B has a cover letter, or excuse me, 13 has a cover letter. 14 has one, 15 has one. 12 did not have one,
Right.
and I thought they reached out to you to get one.
Yes, and we followed back up with
So she just did not attach it to the agenda?
possibly not
Okay,
included in the original one.
okay. I remember her telling me that 12, or one of them was missing a cover sheet. So, whatever you guys want to do. You want to hold off on that one until you get the cover sheet and put it on the next agenda?
The problem I have with doing that is it's 12,
Mhm.
and paying 13 on. I don't have a problem with the minutes reflecting that we received it and that the agenda item did not have the cover letter, but for the minutes that they will be included.
Okay.
Uh,
I will have her
But
send it.
that's just my opinion. I
No,
know
and
we
that-
don't
and
have a
that-
letter for it, but
And that makes sense. I don't think we should go out of sequence and hold it up. Just have the minutes reflect that cover letter was added.
I'll have her get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Leeson, we're assuming you're making the recommendation to pay, that's what I
Yes,
thought.
they are all go, and just, Kevin, you said do you mean to send to Jody? Is that who I should be sending?
Did you send it to her? I remember there was a question from Caitlin from Municipal Solutions that the one was missing a cover sheet.
Yes, and it went back just to municipal solutions, so if I should.
Oh,
send it to
okay.
Jody then, is that what you're?
Yeah, maybe she didn't get it from Caitlin, so if you could send it to Jody. Okay.
But the other issue with that is 12 doesn't have your signature on it either. It's just a blank form.
Yep, yeah, so all of that got sent to municipal solutions, but I will forward both of those items to Jody as well.
Because both of those are what I would in the minutes for the actual tag.
Okay.
Forward that to me too, Lisa.
Sorry?
Can you forward that to me too?
Yes, I will do, yep, thanks.
All right.
Alrighty, thank you. Any other questions?
I have none.
I have none.
I'm good.
You're
We
good?
covered them. Yep.
Okay, we're gonna move on to 5.2, salt shed engineering discussion. I know this is all down in the resolution too. Is there anything you wanna talk about? Darren or Alex? Or is,
I don't, but you can see that my recommendation letter, also our correspondence between Alex back to me, and then his recommendation also. And then at the end, all the contracts are there, or the proposals are all there, and then the resolution ready to go once later on.
any questions for Darren?
So I just want to make sure what we're spending. I mean, well, why is a $71,000 contract more reasonable and in the best interest of the town when another qualified architect an engineering firm was at 36,000. I don't see the equity there, and that wasn't in any of the recommendations. How you address that?
Number one, the main one that we went with first off was my recommendation as it was the only one that came in on time, first off. But I did actually look at all of them. It is more in line with the other one. I feel that the bottom one may have just thrown that in there. They're also not coming up with some other things within the other two that put out proposals.
Darren, you're saying a lot of things like things and others, and that's not tangible to me. So I'm specifically asking how we're justifying more than, well, just basically double the cost.
It looks like there's some differences in the exclusions. The first one that jumps out to me is the geotechnical services. Were included in one of them and not the other.
Correct. The lower value one with Griffiths didn't have the geotech, didn't have any estimating, which the estimate's fairly minor. And then on construction observation, it was kind of a lesser quality, a little bit of assistance, but not the 80 hours that Hunt put down. In my review, the big piece was two of them blew it on the time frame. Darren gave them a deadline and two of them missed it. Normally, if they're submitting after that deadline, the 10 a.m. time frame, we just throw them out or don't even open them.
Alex, what's your feeling on the difference in the exclusions? Is that
think if-
reasonable enough to bridge that gap?
I think if you added things back in on Griffiths, you'd probably be in the 40s, closer to 50, and it would still be a lesser number. But the question is, missing that time, would that require a rebid round, or could you waive that? I don't know.
Right, I just don't know the value of the others, because even if I took the value that Hunt actually put in there and added that to Griffiths.
Yeah, so
it's-
Hunt had a $2,000 fee for their reimbursables. You could tack that on potentially. Geotech was $9,000. It's a third-party thing that they estimated $9,000 for. So say you add 11 to the Griffiths 36. Yeah, you're closer and closer to that 50. Add in estimating, add in some more inspection time. I'm probably in the 50s, but I don't know. We didn't go to the next step, given the missed deadline.
They also didn't put in there that they were gonna do anything with our bidding and awarding process. Hunt's is part of that. The assist as a build, they're not helping with, so that's extra on top of it. And like I said, for sure, the big one is being in on time as well. And I took that into a huge account after putting all those other numbers together as well.
And when were they due, and when was it received?
They were due by 10 a.m.
Mhm.
Hunt's engineer came in at 9:54. Griffiths came in at 2:40. And then the other one came in at 10:50 the next day.
That was the next day.
Yes.
Sorry. I put the times on there. I'm sorry, I missed the date on that one. I didn't realize they were next day.
Yep, number one was the next day at 10:50. And then when I spoke with them, when I went through everything, I spoke with them, and they said they didn't even know that there was a deadline. And right on the bottom of our email said deadline that we sent to them. So that kind of made me a little nervous that they didn't read the whole email.
That made me do math. I think they were due on the 29th, but they came in on the 30th.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Nope, that's fine.
So you're saying we should be around 50,000? Is that what you're getting at?
The Hunt number is legitimate as far as percentage of cost of project anticipation. Channis Anderson followed a similar format. They just gave a percentage and didn't give an actual number. The Griffiths number was just much lower. I think if we discuss it with them and they got to put together a full project manual, they weren't clear on that whole front-end book that we usually have as well. That might jack their cost up a little bit. I think realistically, they might sit in the 50s, but without a discussion with them, I don't know.
Why is there a discrepancy with the Hunt engineering proposal and the Hunt contract page?
Relative to
Attachment.
estimating?
What's that?
Relative to estimating, or which? I
No,
noticed-
the Hunt contract page that's part of their services is their contract. It references attachment A, scope of services, which is completely blank. And the basis of compensation is $60,155. And that doesn't match the proposal.
So the 60,000 value, they added 9,000 for geotech to anticipate that as a third-party cost, and then they added 2,000 was their estimated reimbursables for a full. They're basically telling us they want us to anticipate that 71,155, not just their cost for their rates.
How is that, that's not what the resolution states. The resolution says we're signing a contract for $71,500, not an estimated number or a contingency number. So
Basically,
there's a big disconnect there.
we're intending to tell them yes for the reimbursables and yes for the geotech.
What was in the RFP for the construction administration phase?
Not very detailed, just
So
based.
it wasn't non-responsive between the two. One just offered more hours?
Correct. Each offered what they thought was appropriate. They were looking at the grant application, grant reward, or grant award, and what was from the prefab place.
I just think it's hard for me to make up $36,000 if adding in the geotech and making it apples to apples.
You guys don't know what Griffith's hours were, do you? I'm wondering, Gene, if that's where the disconnect is, right? I mean, I don't know what that 80 hours means for this project.
Yeah, or if it needs 80 hours, is that full-time? I don't know.
I don't know.
The
But what I'm
schedule
saying
wasn't
is
there, right.
it doesn't bridge it,
No.
right? You can only bridge the 11.
Right.
And I'm just looking through Griffiths, they didn't break it down the same way. I'm just curious if they, did they have 20 hours?
Right, had they been on time, we probably would have asked them to quantify everything and get apples to apples.
I think you've opened yourself up to some questioning. If you have a policy that you don't open them, then don't open them. Once you open them and receive them, now it's gray. So I don't think you can throw it out because it's late, because you accepted it. And you've processed it, you've reviewed the proposal. The recommendation didn't, in Darren's recommendation, it didn't explain that. I just think that there's a process error here for getting to there, without having gone through and looking at it to get apples to apples.
Sooner than later. Because we're gonna know by May.
We could potentially ask Griffiths if they want to bring it up to apples if they're interested. I know a discussion with them, I did talk to them. They might decline, I'm not sure though. I just gave him the basic call, hey, are you comfortable with this? It looks like it's gonna go the other direction. You were also late. What are your thoughts? And
I don't have anything more to ask, so I've just gotta go
Well,
off of what we've gotta decide on what we're gonna do. That's,
I mean, I haven't said much because the whole thing here is very confusing. And, I think it's right. If we have a policy of not accepting after a certain time, we don't know nothing about it. But like you say, it's all opened up to the public and everything now. So I don't know what that means to resubmit everything. So everybody has a better idea what they're actually looking at and bidding on? Or, I had no problem following the recommendation that Alex and Aaron had there, but now that you open up a whole bunch of other things here, that I don't know if it was a fair deal we got here.
What's the past practice in the town? If we have a late bid, we don't open it, do we?
right.
But we did open
No, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure we're following what we've done.
Yes.
These were not
the
sealed
past.
bids either, just so everybody knows.
But you're treating them as a sealed bid. If
They
you're
came-
accepting them by a certain time.
They came via email, so, and then were printed and given, just so we had them timestamped. But, I mean, I understand that, but I don't know if they were not sealed. They also were given all the same exact information and discussed the same situation on where we stood with everything. So I don't think it was done unfair per se, because everybody had the same exact letter and the same exact information on what we needed from them. Like I said, I think my recommendation was because they were more comprehensive and inclusive, and honestly did meet the deadline that we had. I mean, when I spoke with somebody and they told me they didn't even know there was a deadline and it's on an email, that's the other part. I don't know how we treat that then. That's just a thought in my head, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah, I just, I'm stuck on trying to financially justify a spread of that amount without, because it's professional services. You didn't you didn't advertise in the paper like for a construction capital works project. And if you add in the things that you're talking about that are included in Hunt's proposal that were excluded from Griffiths, I still don't know how to get to where Hunt's is.
You want them to reach out to Griffiths?
I would prefer that happen as opposed to just, having to go back out and get new proposals from
Well,
both of
I
them.
don't wanna do that. I don't wanna do that. I think for 4 hours and 40 minutes, and we opened it, I mean, I think it's worth a call. And as Alex has suggested, they may just decline anyhow.
Mhm. So, I think that's fair, and just to, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that, Alex.
Can we do that? We reach
I
out to
think
them?
Darren and I can both be on the call with John Masternardi from Griffiths, and then we're both in the same discussion. We'll see what he says. Okay with you?
That's their choice, so yeah.
Okay.
And we've decided that we're, as far as like we don't need to get into the conversation because it's gonna go into the next meeting or not, but I don't know if we decided that we were gonna go through with the project, where the funding was coming from. This has it all coming out of fund balance,
The difference.
not the difference.
No,
Oh,
the engineering
you're
was coming
saying
out
this
of fund
portion
balance.
of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if if the grant isn't, the grant's solid for that part of it, so where's the rest of the funding coming from? We won't know all of that until we get the estimates back. So I just wanted to have a conversation at some point about what the risk is with spending $36,000 or $71,000 on a project that comes in with an estimate of 1.2 million, then we don't have the money for that.
That is a discussion that we'll have to have. But this portion of it, I think we're gonna need to do.
The pairing of the two proposals?
And, right, because we'll need to make that decision, right, to go forward with this, to have that engineering piece done. Now, it may just include, the other thing too, is to understand the breakdown, because it may just include what that, we're gonna wanna know what that estimation is first,
That,
right? Is it fair to do that, to break that down, to understand that first part of it, to give us that estimate, and then if we don't move forward with it, would we still be obligated to expend the additional funds in this contract?
so as part of the engineering engagement, the first step is the estimate.
Would you agree? I mean, we're gonna need to know that number.
Yeah, yes, it's just, yes, that has to happen. And that isn't broken down this way, so it's not there, we don't know what that cost is.
Right, but it would be good if we could have that, those guys have that conversation with both firms, or whomever gets this,
Yep,
to understand that it's almost phased.
from the engineering portion of it.
Yes,
They've gotta give us a project budget so we can decide if we can afford it, before we get into the actual design.
right.
I think that's reasonable.
'Cause that number's a heck of a lot less than either of these estimates.
Yes, it is. Do you guys understand what we're talking about?
No, because I'm confused, because the grant is reimbursable, so the project is pretty much paid for, except for the stuff we're doing here.
Right, so, but where Gene's coming from is, we've got grant dollars, right? And it was based, but if the new estimate comes in and it turns into more of a 40-60 split, we'd have to make a decision of whether or not we can move forward with it, because we would have to find those funds, whether it's 40% of it or 60% of it. But without knowing that estimate, it's difficult to make that decision. We realize now that the grant that we've obtained isn't gonna cover 80% of it, which is what the original intention was. So I think if we can break down this proposal and understand what the new estimate is gonna be, without expending the additional fees here for design, technical service, things of that nature, that'll help us understand and move forward, and be committed to move forward with the entire project.
Yeah, and I supplied those figures last meeting.
That's broken down by, this is what the estimate is. Right, but those weren't year's estimates, right? Those were, I'm not sure where you had
Those
gotten
were
those from.
looking at cost increases that I've discussed with companies on where we were and where we're at going forward after March 1st and into July.
Right, and that was like the 170, some 180,000?
Yeah.
Right?
And that included
But
the,
that's the conversation we have yet, is where that extra money's coming from. And that's based on that's based on your projected estimate, but you also had in there that this also could be a $1.2 million project, and not a $750,000 project.
no, the 1.2 million, I think that's where we're getting confused. The 1.2 million would be, if we didn't do the grant, we're never probably gonna ever get a grant given to us again for this. And because of the way the state and everything's moving towards in the next 5 to 7, 8 years, this project out of our own pocket is gonna be that much at that point. This project probably shouldn't be much more than where we're at, what I'm projecting and what I've talked to multiple people about. Should not go above that if we proceed with the grant figures of what we budgeted for 725,000 already. On top of that's another 100 and something. Because we budgeted 725. And we get 560 back. out of that. But that's where I just want to clarify the 1.2. That's where that discussion that came in would be roughly as if we had to probably do it in X amount of years down the road. I'm just adding cost up myself.
So let's confirm your high side there.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I-
if you're saying, I don't remember what it was, Darren, was it 900 all in with the engineering? I'd have to pull it back up.
Yeah, I don't remember, something like, just
Okay.
under that probably.
That's what we need to confirm, and then we can have that discussion. Because then we know what the differences we'll have to come up with, but let's confirm that. I was assuming those were the estimate numbers that you put based on what your initial figures were with an escalator. I didn't know where you had gotten those from.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that if we're breaking down this engineering proposal, my preference is to see an estimate come back in, confirm your numbers, and we can have that discussion to move forward.
Right. No, I agree. And then, like I said, the grant portion part opens in May, so that's when we
Well-
need to start. And then from that point, I think they only give us, I think it was 90 to 120 days to accept the bid.
Okay.
But I'll confirm all that stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll put it on the next agenda. You guys will reach out. Okay, we're gonna move on then. 5.3, secure vestibule. Nothing update.
You saw what I sent around that they gave back, and they had some ADA traffic questions on moving people through the clerk space, so they changed the door location, but Adam's reviewing that and has some qualms with that, so it's an in-house review still with some comments and feedback back. We gotta go in a circle with the architect again, right? I didn't catch up with you again, but I understand you don't care for that layout.
No, I don't care for any of it.
Yeah, so I need some direction to know what to go back to them with next.
Okay, we'll touch base.
Who's making the decisions on that? Because I don't remember seeing any of that as far as like the detail and stuff, and what I was expecting to get was what we had put out for an RFP for the proposal to get a schematic design based on that, because there's been an awful lot of scope creep in what we put out for a project to what was on that sketch that was disseminated about a month and a half ago. So where does that set?
So them advancing it beyond where their concept lies between Adam and Greg is still in the concept. And we're trying to accept the concept between the two of them so that they could finish up with estimating it for you to match up with the scope. The first layout just nobody liked. It wasn't practical. Moved some things out. They didn't like it. This last one is closer to what would meet the clerk's needs, but there's a swinging door that is kind of funky to get into the clerk space, but made it available such that a wheelchair could move through and sit at the counter and not block the entire walkway. And that's where we're at. If you guys want to look at
Yeah,
that,
why don't you send out to the board what
Okay.
you've got so far?
I think Kevin,
I
do you
will.
want,
Huh?
you got it, but I didn't give it to the whole board, right?
I don't know if I got it. I thought I saw, I know Adam showed me, I was down in the clerk's office, I saw, I don't think I got the,
I can email it.
I actually had taken a copy
Okay.
from Alex, so or
Or
not
Adam.
Alex, Adam. So I have seen some of it, and there are some concerns. For sure.
let's put the whole board
Yeah.
in on the loop.
Okay, that's
I-
fine. I'm kind of caught in the middle and could use some more direction, I guess.
The comment that I'd have for you from direction from me is that I want you to review it, Alex, to make sure that the layout complies with the original goals that the town board put out. I'm not discounting anybody else's input, but we put those goals together for what would be beneficial to the town as a whole, not any one individual. And
Gene,
that's what I want to.
can you share with what those were? I wasn't here at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be great.
because that was in the RFP.
Yes,
So
the
so share
RFP.
the RFP when
Yes.
you share that schematic. and I'll take a look at it, and if there's supplemental information that we had at the time, that I'll share that with the board.
Thank you.
Because both Jay and Luke they weren't here when we did that RFP, I don't, so.
Yep.
Yep, that would be great, that would.
I'll look at versus the RFP.
But you're gonna share them both with the whole board.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
Can I just say something on the secure vestibule, just from our side over the highway? Nothing's ever been discussed on how, when people come into here, and I'm just, because I've heard concern about it, how are we gonna know if somebody's over, like, notified that they're over here from highway? Because people come into the town hall all the time and they don't know that the highway office is over there. So obviously, I don't wanna put stress or more on the or the clerk's office, because they do it as it is now, but I'm just a concern that we have, just so we're with the two different buildings.
I think we could accomplish that with some better signage. I think a lot of this will involve some better signage of where to go and to achieve what they're here to do.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure that that's involved.
All right, 6.1, there's no public hearings tonight. So we're gonna move on to new business. 7.1, B&L Clean Water Project discussion. Who wants to take the lead on this? Lisa?
Hi everyone, I'm here to discuss the Town of Shenango Water Systems Improvement Project that was completed last May. Just to quickly summarize the March 12th letter that B&L sent. B&L completed the PER in May 2025, which included a $3.3 million comprehensive water systems improvement project. The project aimed to address the emerging contaminants throughout the town, lack of redundancy in the water sources, as well as the age distribution and water storage infrastructure. Improvements included targeted water main replacements, 2 tank replacements, EC-related well upgrades, new source development, SCADA upgrades, and the well house improvements. So as you guys are aware, in May, we listed this on the 2026 DWSRF intended use plan, which is an EFC program. The project scored high with a score of 115, and the town ultimately secured a $5 million VIA grant for this project. The town also has recently learned that there may be an opportunity to pull the $2 million EPA grant from the wastewater treatment plant if they choose, and apply it to this project, of course, with further discussion and consideration with the town. So based on that current funding opportunity, the estimated project costs for the $3.3 million project would create an annual debt service for users of approximately $532 per TBU. After preliminary discussions with town supervisor, town attorney, town engineer, it's been heard that this is quite high, and the town is unsure on if and how they want to proceed with that. So based on that feedback, we reached out to DOH to see if there were any options on how we can move forward, and the best approach that was recommended would be to shift this into a phased project approach, prioritizing those most critical improvements in order to strengthen the funding potential and improve the near-term annual debt for users. So we do have opportunities to focus this project on those EC items and basically hone it down for this, what we're recommending to be the phase 1 project, try and maximize the funding opportunities for that one project, and then address the rest of the improvements at a later date should the town choose. So with that, if the town were to pursue that option, the first step would be to prepare an amendment to the PER that focuses on this phased approach and would detail this phase 1 improvement. B&L is recommending that they work with the town to refine this project to address the critical EC issues and all of the distribution infrastructure associated with those, and then work with the town even closely to further refine that scope so that it will be able to maximize those funding opportunities while also keeping the costs at front of you today is an amendment for us to do just that. We would need to revise that PER, which would require us to work closely with Alex and Greg on what those necessary improvements are. We would recommend doing some additional PFAS testing, specifically up on Airport Road where the old landfill was, to see if that would be an opportunity to possibly get more points. If we identify PFAS in those well locations, there could be an opportunity there to get additional funding. So again, you just have that amendment in front of you to go through that process, get this listed on the 2027 IUP, which the deadline for that is May 29th. So we do want to get started on this as soon as possible. With that amendment, we would also go forward and apply for LEA and other EC-related funding opportunities to hopefully maximize the town's funding package for next year. One thing I do want to note before we get into discussion is the $5 million that the town did receive for the overall project would need to be returned. We can't hold on to that and apply it to this smaller project. They would need to reevaluate the project as a whole with that smaller project. However, we would expect to meet or exceed that based on the conversations that we've had with the DOH.
All right.
Leeson, is there traditionally a split for funding on something like this? Percentage split?
Oh, so we did ask that to DOH because that was some of the feedback we received was, why we didn't receive some of the EC funding that we had expected to receive, and they had said there was not a great enough proportion of your project based on the EC funds. We asked them to further define that. They couldn't give us an immediate answer, so our approach would be to indicate in the amendment how all of our improvements will benefit the town and eliminate ECs. For instance, a new well source down the Hyder Park location, the infrastructure around that well will now have to have additional water that it will be delivering to other users. Therefore, we would recommend those water mains be upgraded still in this project because of higher demand, we need to have reliable infrastructure in that location.
So what would be your expectation on a percentage split in your experience?
We're going to shoot for 100% EC.
EC, okay.
Yes.
The EC issues at Hyder Park, they weren't at Hyder Park, so I'm not, no.
No, so that was the proposed location for the new well. So the EC issues are up at the Maplewood and Applewood, right up in this. At the Hyder Park location, while also increasing the 12A well, so that it would be able to pump up and over to the Maplewood and Applewood locations. It would also include these interconnections to connect these service areas up in the northwest location.
And
Or sorry, northeast.
And where was the funding that we got from the PFAS lawsuit interjected into this?
I do not believe we have been made aware of any of that.
So Jane, that PFAS money is coming over 7 or 10 years in installments. So you would, assuming you end up long-term financing this, you would use that PFAS money to pay the bond.
That may be it, but it's not been part of this in here at all. So I mean, we've got to reflect that somewhere because that money was specifically for and dedicated for the EC stuff, and I don't want that lost. And if we're doing it, the WIA grant or the IUP, then I would think you'd want to focus what is significant in our phasing plan to take $5 million and where's $5 million going to cover us, and put that into the plan on to strategize next year's 5 million. I'm just making up numbers, but you get 5 million for a phase, and then you go back to the IUP, you get another 5 million or another 2 million, wherever it is. Where is the best return on that for those phasings? And prioritize it with what Greg's need is.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the town board prioritized the EC issues over the other issues, because we could do those with capital outlays in a different, and those don't really score a lot of high points.
Correct. Yes. No, that's great information that we were not made aware of when this was pulled together, so with this amendment, we're definitely working with Nathan and Alex and Greg on incorporating that into that PER one amendment and then future phases if the town chooses to do that.
Correct. The PER was completed in May. I don't know that you had the settlement info in that time frame, so it's on the radar for any amendment of the PER.
So, do you want to know the balance right now?
That would be helpful.
So the capital reserve fund PFAS remediation balance right now is $263,500.
And that's what we received.
That is what has been received so far. That is what we have recorded received so far.
Was that one or two payments?
Oh, I know that there was at least two. I would have to check. I know it's at least two.
And Greg, do you know the total amount? Do you remember that? That was like 700,000 or something like that?
That's what I remember, Gene. That's why I think that's just two payments.
Yeah, okay. But that's information that
Yes.
Lisa will need to, for that whole suit. Okay.
Absolutely, thank you.
What do you need from us moving forward?
So we have provided an amendment for this to do what we're calling project development assistance and prepare that PER amendment as well as get this project listed on the IUP and prepare the WIA grant application and any other EC source applications as well. So the hopes from today's meeting would be to get that get that amendment signed so that we can get started on this project since the deadline is about 2.5 months away.
So are you gonna put together different options, like different, like, there's the whole list of options that we can do to make this contaminant go away?
Right, so we would, this phase one would focus all on EC improvements, so we wouldn't necessarily come up, the original PER had different alternatives in it. This one would just focus on EC and those specific alternatives. So we likely wouldn't be reinventing the wheel with field work and analysis. We would take what we had previously and pull out those critical EC items as well as the items that Greg feels are most necessary in the town and make that phase one, so that would be that first project. And then any remaining information, we would be set up well to do this again next year or a few years down the road to create a separate project.
So you have a proposal, but then of items you think that should be done,
Yeah,
do you give it to us to make sure you hit the right ones?
we can. We will work with Greg and Alex on amending that, and then I believe last year, the process, we provided you guys the PER a couple weeks before the IUP listing, so you had an opportunity to review that and before we listed it. So we would set up a similar schedule with that. So you would have an opportunity to provide feedback and review.
I think the part that's gonna be important for me that we don't get too far ahead of it is that when we got down to what grants we would get, and the funding we would get for a $39 million project, it turned into a $530 some odd user increase. There's gotta be some feedback to you to let you know what the town can afford to do and pass on to the residents, so that's your target.
Correct, yes, and we've built that discussion into the amendment as well, that we want to make sure we're coming out with an annual user increase that the town would find acceptable.
And Gene, you're saying that the ECs, those emerging contaminants, and what I'm assuming you're talking about, don't score a lot of points? They don't score high points when you're looking at a grant?
Well, the way that this was put together, it didn't receive a lot of points.
Well, it went way up and way beyond what, just the contaminants. And I'm afraid to go there again. I'm afraid to do this process again and go there again. I think we need to concentrate on the contaminated wells. And
So the original scope of the project was an entire water system improvements review, which is what we did. Only a portion of that was related to the EC items. Now moving forward, because that project cost was so high, this specific PER amendment would focus on EC related items only, and that would be that phase one. opportunities, but also keep those costs down. So there may be opportunities, in order to drive the project costs, in order to drive the, funding costs up, we may need to incorporate additional distributions, interconnects, things like that. But
And
we
that's
will
why,
find
and
a
that's
way
why
to
you
relate
added
those.
that in there, understood.
Yes.
But I thought when we discussed this the first time, there was a lot of discussion on the ability for the town to receive all this grant money,
And that was the
and we did not come even close to it.
Yes, that was the expectation last year. Unfortunately,
Yes.
that information wasn't out there last year on how they were going to be awarded the EC funding. We had follow-up discussions with all of the funding, sources, and DOH spoke up stating that there wasn't a high enough proportion of EC items in this project, which is why we're recommending this approach.
That was the 19.3 million that was not obtained. The two different we had, and the infrastructure loan.
Yes, so we received only the 5 million.
Only
We
the 5 million.
did not receive any EC because there wasn't enough.
Which,
Was there a cost breakdown with the 4 different items that you had in your letter for the distribution, the EC issues, the water storage? Is there a dollar amount breakdown for those?
Yep, so we have, the way that the PER is structured is, distribution, storage, EC-related well improvements, and non-EC-related source improvements. So everything is broken down like that. We have it in a separate table that we can share, and that's how we plan to go through and focus solely on the EC-related items and any of the distribution infrastructure improvements associated with EC.
Okay. Kevin, you had said you've got concerns about moving forward with it. Did you get that addressed? Because I wasn't, as long as you were okay with it, I was fine, but I didn't really understand what the concern was that you had. That it
I'm
was just
con-
easy.
I'm concerned with the EDUs, with the affordability of the residents to pay
Yeah.
for this project when we just put this, the same amount of people are gonna get charged EDUs again for the water project that were charged the sewer project for 30 years. Now we're tacking on another 30 years. I have a huge concern with that.
I do too, and that 532 was a result of a $40 million project not getting
Right.
$35 million worth of funding.
Which we anticipated.
Right.
And that's where I'm concerned going forward, to do this all over again and not get to where we have to be. I don't know.
Right.
I guess I just,
If that number is not in the $75 range, I mean, it's a huge gap. And I'm not trying to speak for anybody by saying $75. I'm just saying that that's the margin that that I think that it's often affordable.
I can't even tell you what's affordable.
I-
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I
but
just, I can't speak for,
Right, no, I understand, and I think
I
that's the
just-
purpose of paring this back
Yeah.
and taking a phased approach to this, because I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think the sentiment here is taking this all at once is a non-starter. So looking at this and the approach that you're taking, I do agree with. I think those wells are going to have to be addressed sooner or later, and it's not going to get cheaper.
And what's the reality of the $2 million transfer out of the EPA funding? Is that something we're considering or not? 'Cause
we
I didn't
can't,
see-
so we can't use it for the sewer project. So if we have 5 years, from what I was explained to me, we have 5 years to use it. And I've asked if we could use it on some other things and haven't received a response back on it yet. So it was kind of pushed towards the water project.
But with what conditions, right? We're going to have to understand that.
I don't
mean,
think there was conditions. The only concern that was that some people that would have benefited from it in the sewer project are not gonna benefit from it in the water project. There's water districts that don't have sewer,
Mhm. Okay.
so I think that was the concern was, and I don't know if that's just on the board making that decision, if it's either you, from what I got, either you use it or lose it.
Right.
Okay.
Because as just an example, I don't have water, so I would have benefited from it on a sewer project, but I won't benefit from it if it goes to the water project.
But I think the wells that you're talking about, there's a number of customers that are gonna benefit that are on the sewer.
No, they're not. None of them
None
are.
of them?
None
On
of them are.
Maplewood and Applewood aren't?
Nope. So that's really what the concern was. If we were gonna target that EC area, there's no sewer over there.
Can we, what about using?
There's no sewer for that, and that's the issue, but if you use that money for the water.
But it's consolidated district.
For water, it's consolidated.
Exactly. Everything's consolidated now.
Townwide.
So it's,
Oh, so you're saying it would be irrelevant?
That-
well,
I think it's a much easier path, because it's
Well, I think,
townwide.
I think there's other infrastructure in wells that, where a number of people are on sewer. You know, you talked about the upgrade at Cherry Lane or the 12A or the Northgate well. I'm just saying to utilize those funds if that's a condition. If it's not, because it's all consolidated, then it could be irrelevant.
yeah, but I understand your consolidation part, but there is sewer districts that don't have water.
Right. I'm just saying, I just don't know the ones that I just mentioned. My sense is most of those probably are in the sewer district, if need be. It seems like there is a spot to be able to use the 2 million is my point.
Mhm. I'm fine with, the only thing that I'd like to see is that word possible come out of that paragraph and say it can be used there. And that's a municipal solutions direction, is that correct?
Does the board wish to use it there?
I do.
Yes.
Okay.
If we
So
get-
that would be a phone call saying the board wishes to use it for the water, clean water project.
Yeah,
Okay. I will make that phone call.
okay.
And Kevin, if you can just make sure Caitlin knows if we are, depending on the board's decision tonight, which way they choose to proceed with that.
Okay.
And the authorization you're asking for is for the amendment for the $20,000.
Correct, yes.
And that will address the revision of the preliminary engineering report. But you had a $10,000 line item for funding assistance, and that is gonna vet through what funding is gonna be available and plan on for the grants and the project.
Yep, and that will be include all of the application process.
Okay.
And that's inclusive of the 20,000.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Any other discussion?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Do you want to?
Do you guys,
Resolution during, well, go ahead, sorry.
do you need the B&L folks to stick around for later discussion, or are they all set for tonight?
I don't think there's anything else on the agenda, there.
No, I think it's just the resolution.
Just the
On whether or
resolution.
not it's, I mean, there was an attached resolution for our discussion, you know, and I guess I don't have an objection with the amendment, because I'd rather see them revise the report and get it squared away and get it, and meet the deadline for the
Right.
IUP, and the WIA grant, you know, application, you know, in the fall.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
So, is that a separate resolution on section 9?
No, I believe we put it up top there because it wasn't, we didn't talk about it the last meeting to put it under the resolution, so that's why it's up underneath this discussion. Understand? What?
The link is wrong. Is that what you're looking at me?
The link is wrong for what?
The resolution? I don't know if that's the same under resolutions.
Did it get moved? Shouldn't be down in the resolutions. No, it should not be down.
I don't see it there.
It shouldn't be in the resolutions because we didn't put it on future topics in resolutions for the last meeting, so that's why it's up underneath the new business.
So if we do this resolution next meeting, will that give you enough time to hit all the milestones and deadlines?
You can do the resolution tonight. I just, when we do resolutions, when we put together the agenda packet, I'm just trying to follow the policy.
Right, yes, I know, I know, but that's why I asked.
Okay,
If
all
they
right,
can still do, if they can
I
still do it,
understand.
knowing we're gonna do the resolution next meeting, and to approve it.
April 1st would be fine if that's,
Okay,
if there's no way to do it tonight.
that's up to you guys.
I just assume do it tonight.
Yeah.
I don't have any objection to doing it tonight. Just-
Okay, do you want to do it right now and just? Resolution of, do you want me to do it?
I mean, yeah, resolution authorizing amendment number 1 with Barton and LaJudas for services related to the water system improvement project.
Second?
Oh, so moved. Okay, so moved. Second, all right. Any discussion?
I have none.
Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Jensen?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye,
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
and,
Where's this being funded out of?
oh, that's not in the resolution. So, yeah, the amendment, that's why I should have gotten, the amendment needs to be part of the attachment for the minutes, because it's not there for the resolution. And where are we gonna fund it? Fund it. We got, where's it being paid, what was the $100,000, or the $100,000 being paid for? Now,
I have no idea without going back and,
bookkeeper.
I mean, you can. Oh, I thought you were. Yeah, it's coming out of water.
Okay.
It can come out of one of your. He's got 60,000 unreserved fund balance in water. There's. There's a capital improvements reserve fund. I don't.
If you use the reserve fund, it's subject to permissive
Referendum.
referendum.
Yeah.
If there's no immediately available funds, you can do a interfund loan from the general fund, unexpended fund balance, and have Greg, either determine he can cut something in his water budget to cover the costs this year, or when raising the rates in normal due course, for future quarters next year, factoring in that an interfund loan needs to be paid back.
Yes. Don't you charge on your water bill for a capital
Well, that's a capital reserve.
capital reserve?
That's,
I have to go back and look where we paid the last one out of. Yes. So I can't just tell you right now,
Well,
but.
and that's where I don't see where there's a contractual in the water operating.
For what part? There's contractual water studies.
Where's that? Which page?
It's on page 1 of the water operating budget. Middle of the page.
What's your fund number? What's your F what? Are you on F?
It's punched out. I am.
Yeah, F.
Dot 401.
What is it?
At the end here. Dot 401 right here. There's nothing in there.
8310-401.
Oh, that's it. That's the 8.
Yep, 8310-401, contractual water studies, there's nothing in the line. So you'd have to transfer some. Can't use that line.
So $20,000 has got to come from somewhere else as a line item adjustment.
You could pay it out of a line and then you're gonna have to adjust it.
Well, that's where.
You could pay it from fund balance and adjust it back into a line.
Where's, how much is in the water fund balance?
Quite a bit. Fund balance unreserved, $527,999.
That's in the water fund balance?
Water fund balance, F909, unreserved, $527,999.
So then do a $20,000 transfer from that line to the contractual,
Which contractual line you want to transfer to?
that's the
The contractual water studies line,
8310-401?
401, right.
8310-401. We're going to go from F909. 20,000, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to do do that for a resolution next meeting, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we won't need to pay that until, the 20,000 for them and we can have that adjustment made in that before we pay it.
Okay. We'll set it up for the next meeting.
And then it's not logged in there, Greg, as a loan or anything, and that keeps it simple for me. So, okay.
Okay. We're good with that? So the resolution is passed.
Can we, I know it's passed, but can we just make a modification to the fund?
I'll modification my motion to accept to use line F8310.401 for 20,000
Yeah.
charged to that line.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, now moving on, 7.2, the Ponds at Demick Hill liquor license, 30-day notice waiver request.
Thank you.
Thank you. We take a see this letter that came into the clerk. We did this before with the Commons. Does anybody
I have no problem with
have
it.
an
no
objection
objection.
in doing it again?
No objection.
Okay. Do we need to do a motion on this? Or just,
And taking no action is perfectly fine. Let me just look at the waiver thing again, though. Oh, there it is. Oh, excuse me. So So there, yeah, if you want to waive it, yes, we would need to do a resolution about that. If you just don't, if you do nothing, then they just have to give you a 30-day notice about it. So I guess they have not sent us the 30-day notice. I mean, I see the attachment, which is, oh.
Yeah.
So, all right, it's dated March 2nd. So they'd like you to waive the 30-day notice so they can submit their application or move forward with it. But the way you guys operate, you wouldn't pass a resolution until April 1st on this. So the 30 days is nearly up at that point. So unless you, by motion, waive it tonight, I'd say just ignore it.
And then they can proceed because it's no action and we only had 30 days to object.
Correct.
Okay, no action then.
And just for the record, I wouldn't object to it. Because they can do whatever they need to.
Yep.
For planning on it. But that, okay. I'm good. Well, I can make no action, thank you.
All right. Moving on. 7.3 Hyder Park Rubber Service discussion. Do we even need to do anything about this?
You need to know anything about it?
I thought you said you had enough money in your budget when you.
There's 100,000 in there. So the question I had was, is if the original quote was 113 or 14 and some change. That was with the company removing the wood fiber. Now that I don't have a groundskeeper currently, or the skill set, technically, with a lot of new employees, my question is do we want to, I have the 100,000 in there. We could take 14,000 out of the fund balance to fund the entire project with it. If not, we'll make do with what we got, and we'll remove the wood fiber. It's just a speedier process if the company does it. Not the-
Craig, how long would it take you to remove the wood fiber? Estimated. A week?
Couple weeks.
2 weeks?
At least, with one, maybe two guys, trying to protect the rubber surface that's currently there. I don't know, honestly.
I'd support you using your fund balance for that. And have your guys concentrate on what, other higher important items, I guess. That's my opinion.
You want to use what? Fund balance?
Yeah.
Just general fund balance?
Yeah,
Because parks is in general,
right.
so it would come out of. How much is the amount that you want to do?
It's right there.
14,765?
$14,765, yes.
I'm okay with that because it sounds like you're a little bit hesitant on the crew you have right now to, I just soon get it done than have it, a disaster occur and it'll cost us twice as much.
I just don't want the park to be done any longer than it has to be. And they
What-
do it, and they damage the rubber surface.
When will this be done though? I mean, to be completed for this summer?
It's slated for this summer. Once I get the approval, I can sign the contract, which is included in here for Kevin Camp.
So if your crew did do it, they wouldn't be working on till the middle of this summer. They wouldn't be doing it right now.
No, it'd be too muddy.
So that is line A 7020203.
Yes.
So we're gonna transfer, well, that'll be next, we'll do a resolution for transfer from fund balance to that line and pay it out of that line. Okay,
Well, and you need a resolution to approve change in the scope. And to approve this.
so it would be a separate resolution,
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we can put it into one.
or whatever you wanna do, whatever works.
But yeah, just to clarify, it's approving this change in the scope, and I know Greg used the word quotes, but as I recall, this is a piggyback contract. So we'll make sure to just look back at the original approval of this, and you haven't actually ordered anything yet, right? So we'll also just have to make sure that contract is still in effect.
It is.
Yeah, we'll have to review all that stuff and just make sure it's all still enforced.
But you have confirmed that these prices are still firm? Because we've expired the 30 days that are on this. And they didn't give you how many weeks it's gonna take to complete this?
They'd be done in less than a week. They did the whole entire rubber surface with stone in 3 days, 4 days.
Everybody good with that?
I am.
I am.
Understand? Okay. Gonna move on to,
Yep.
7.4, highway roof leaks. Greg, you're still waiting for information on that, or did we get?
So, I had a company come in and just look on the roof. They met with me first, then he talked to Darren also as well. It's a standing seam roof. There's no, all the fasteners are hidden except for on the eaves and on the peak where the roof vent ridge is. So that's, if there's any leaks, it's there. He seems to think that there could be some small leaks with the screws, some of the seams where the overlap is on the ridge cap. Some of that is failing. Does he think it's the amount of water that we're seeing? He really couldn't say. Some of us are leaning towards still that it could be condensation. There's no vapor barrier underneath the insulation. So when there's gets filled up into that insulation, the insulation sags, leaks onto the floor. Without pulling the insulation, at least a couple rows, we're not gonna be 100% sure if it is that ridge cap.
Has anyone looked at it with a thermal camera to see where the insulation's wet?
No.
Okay.
I did also pull the warranty for the roof.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 10-year warranty for any kind of leak. That is since done and over with. There was a 20-year warranty for the color fading and stuff like that. That is since expired.
Okay.
The only other
So,
product-
so the roof is over 20 years old?
Yes.
Okay.
So is there gonna be another person come to check it out, another company, or just?
I was hoping that the gentleman that came was gonna give us a price on coming in, possibly removing a couple lengths of insulation, because it's weaved under some strapping, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult to take out. I have not heard back yet from them. We met with them on Friday, Thursday or Friday of last week. So, waiting to hear back on a price to go up and, quote the fixing of the ridge pit cap, changing the screws out, resealing. Plus, I asked them to give me a quote on if they're gonna remove some insulation so we can actually see it. That's the actual cause of all the problems.
Okay. Who's doing that? Who was it that came out?
Precision roofing, I believe what the name is. I think Precision Roof.
Okay. I just remember part of the conversation was doing emergency repairs to stop the leak
They didn't really.
and then evaluate it, like for what it is. Are we there? Is it an emergency issue?
They really didn't, he didn't suggest putting a tarp over it. He didn't suggest that, he suggested pulling some of the insulation. Let's see where it's actually leaking from.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the root of all our evils. Could it be condensation? Is it just the screws that are leaking, or where the overlap is, where the seal is? He couldn't tell us that without pulling that insulation.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this, or?
I don't have any more to offer until they can call me back.
Okay.
I asked them to suggest if they could do the installation, what it would cost to pull 2 rows away from the heat, so we could see what's actually going on. He didn't suggest that they were gonna do that, but then I asked him to give me names of companies that would do that.
I wasn't in town last week, but I know that it rained Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Pretty hard to, how much water came in?
None came in, but I think it's, like you said, it's absorbing in the insulation, so as insulation's getting full, that's when it's happening. I had another piece of insulation today, just out of the blue, just unload. Again, different spot. So I don't know, it's, again, like you said, Cameron, it would be the idea of trying to figure out, but I don't know who even does any of that stuff. So the three that he reached out to that we've talked to, they don't even say anything about that. So I don't know, like you said, pulling it down would be the ideal thing, but,
Yeah.
and then see what's up there, then where do we go, I mean, it gives us the idea, but that's a not now time, because we can't have everything outside. When the weather is.
It appears that your failure point, right, is gonna be that ridge. So, and he looked at it, you know, it seems like it may even be worth it to replace and reseal the ridge, unless he sees something wrong with the standing seam itself. Because I don't know if that one's been machined or it was just a slip and lock, right? So if he had a lot of ice built up on the roof and it was jammed, I could see that getting under the seam. But unless there's a significant number of penetrations through the sheets, it really seems unlikely.
He didn't seem to think that it was leaking in any of the stand seam at all. He said if it's gonna leak anywhere, it's gonna leak on that ridge cap where the screws are. Cause he pulled a few screws and you could see that they were rusty, some were wet, and you could see where some of
I think as the snow and ice start to melt, that seems like a reasonable spot for it to make its penetration. And Darren, there's the videos and stuff that you shared with me, it would have to be a pretty significant flow. You had a really, it was way more than a drip, it was a flow. And to get that kind of flow, something would have to be melting almost directly in there. And it could be traveling on the insulation or tracking down the bottom part of that sheet. But to me, I agree, removing some insulation is probably a good idea, because a lot of that's probably shot. But to focus on that ridge cap seems like a reasonable place to start.
I think he thought.
So, I'm waiting to see what the quote is. I still have calls from other companies that had terrifying. So, I will reach out again tomorrow to see if they have that. They can provide it to me. Hopefully it's a reasonable amount. We can go with it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
Good, thanks. All right, moving on, 7.5, the code inspector applications. We only received 2, as you can see. Would you like to interview, discuss them in executive session, whatever you want to do?
It sounds like you want to discuss them in executive session. I'm okay with that.
The one applicant wasn't certified.
No, one applicant is not certified.
I would just consider that non-responsive, because that was, what I remember was that it was code certification was required.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, I think when you advertise it on Indeed, it's, you get what you get, and then you send it off to Broome County. They'll approve it even without a certification, if it beats. That's what,
And I understand that, but I thought
what we're looking for
it's
is
like the
is a
advertising.
certified code enforcement officer.
Right. And we're
So
gonna-
there's only one on the list.
Okay. I have no objection at all for discussing it. So,
Later on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on then.
That was Premier Roofing.
Premier Roof. Okay, thank you. 8.1 Attorney's Report.
It's attached. There is one item that I would request an executive session on. It's not on the list, but it's Citizen Shenango Solar lawsuit update. They've proposed a settlement that I would like to discuss with you guys.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Nate?
I have none.
Where do we set with the report for the procurement?
I guess I'm not clear at this point what you're looking for in terms of a report. I know the board had discussed, you know, I'd put together some drafts to amend your procurement policy, to either give the department heads some emergency purchasing authority or to give them just non-emergency purchasing authority. I think your discussion was, you know,
I'm talking about the report of the evaluation of what happened in 2025 for procurement policies and total contract awards, so that we could go out with RFPs in 2026 for
Oh.
for that scope.
that
And-
one.
that one.
We did RFPs for professional services for everything, and then to the extent any other things needed to have bids or, you know, RFPs for it, I flagged to Greg, I think we need one for chemicals, and I think that was largely it, you know, because the review also included that, and I'm just thinking back to
Well,
what I'd provided.
I'm not really interested in getting back into the whole conversation. I'm just asking, when are we gonna get that report? Because your handwritten notes on what was not what the board asked for, which was a report to go through all of them in 2025, determine which ones were not procured properly or appropriately, and address that for 2026 so it didn't happen. And I haven't seen that report come to the board.
Yeah, I've not prepared a written, full report detailing that. That's, I think, a pretty significant time cost in that. And I think if the board wants me to prepare a detailed written analysis reviewing every one of those procurements in that fashion and putting a report together, I'm happy to do that. But I think I'd like the board to give me that really specific direction.
The thing that bothers me about what you're saying is that if it's gonna be that big of a lift, there's a significant problem. And that scares me.
Well, I say that in the sense of, you know, there were probably 14 pages of vendors identified. Asking me to do is go through all 14 pages and review. And what I have done is look through those 14 pages, flag the ones that exceeded procurement thresholds, discussed with Joy and Greg each of those. I have not looked at the files themselves. I've looked at some of the paperwork when I sat down with boys. I guess I'm just thinking, like, the time to put all of this in writing is what I'm thinking of.
I don't care if it's you or if it's the departments that do it. If you've already told them which ones are there, then that can go down to them to report to do that. It doesn't matter to me who does it. I just want to make sure that our procurement fails don't continue. And I haven't seen any improvement on that in 2026. We're still doing things, we're still getting bills, we're still getting things without the backup. I just can't go anywhere without seeing that report. So is it important to the board to see it or not? And I know we just had a semi-audit from the state, which was a big issue with them. I haven't seen anything come back from them. Are we expecting anything?
I thought we were gonna get a report from them, but I have not seen anything yet.
Okay.
That's what I was told. We would get a report.
I mean, Gene, my recollection of the discussion from the meeting or two ago where we talked about this was, I mean, I think the end conclusion was every single purchase must be approved by the town board. These guys can't buy anything without your approval. And so, there you go. I mean, I don't remember too many resolutions other than you folks approving the abstracts and specific projects coming before you. So, I mean, your abstracts tonight, either you view the approval of the abstract as the approval, which is post-purchase, presumably. I mean, these guys, every single meeting, need to come to the board with a resolution for approval of purchases that they want to make. I mean, that seems to be the policy that I think the discussion ended with the last time. You know, because there is no policy in place of which I'm aware that says the board or the department heads have purchasing authority independently up to some dollar threshold. Darren does have some, which you do annually.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the policy that exists for that.
Yeah, it's in one of the annual resolutions. It's about
Oh,
him.
not Darren's.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right.
And so, you know, when that discussion was had, my conclusion was, yeah, these guys need to come, every department head needs to come to every single meeting with a list of things that they want to buy and asking for your approval in a resolution.
So those purchase orders, those vouchers, everything, they're gonna include all of the procurement documentation on how that was obtained as part of the paperwork for the voucher.
Well, I know I'm saying there needs to be not just a voucher with an abstract. You know, in the abstract, it's the meeting before they actually purchase anything. They need to come with, here's the purchase order detailing what I want to buy, how much money, probably the line item. I mean, everything that ends up in the abstract, but before they go and buy it. So they want to go to Lowe's or something and buy a shovel. They need to come to you and say, I want to buy a shovel from Lowe's for $15.
Okay. Is that how you guys remember?
That doesn't really seem that practical to me. Obviously, in the normal course of business, if items are budgeted, I think they should be able to purchase them. However, I think having stuff that, for example, Darren, I'm gonna use Cook Brothers for an example. I think having a procurement agreement with them, so we have that up front, like that we went out and said, hey, you know, we're gonna buy stuff from Cook Brothers and these would be the parts. Seems to me some form of procurement agreement may make more sense than having them come in here and clog up the meeting with $10 purchase orders. I just think there's gotta be a better way to do that. I'm not saying that that is the solution, but, you know, when I look at the invoices every week, I do look at them. And I look at them and if I've brought up some things that I didn't know what they were to add them, and he got clarifications for me. So there is a process to audit that. But in terms of our procurement policy, I'm not sure how to satisfy that, but it seems impractical to me to come here with a purchase order to go to Lowe's to buy a shovel. I don't really see that as being very practical. There's got to be other safeguards to put in place, and I think coming in and auditing those invoices, I realize they're after the fact, but, you know, nothing in there is a high dollar. You know, the highest dollar ones that we've been seeing are the energy, the electricity. So, you know, usually the high dollar ones are coming before us anyway. I don't know what that definitive answer is, but it just doesn't feel like that's it.
So you could, we can have, the board can be presented from Darren or Greg or any department head who says, hey, I want to use this vendor, and we'd probably piggyback. I know Lowe's and, Greg, what is it, Tractor Supply, or some organizations like that have piggybacked contracts been awarded for purchasing anything that's in their catalog at a discount. But short of you giving blanket authorization to Darren and Greg to buy supplies from Lowe's, which would be just blanket, right? So then what you're talking about is then they'd go and buy a shovel and a pair of boots and gloves or whatever, but you're not knowing that they're buying that stuff until you look at the audit, at the abstract and the vouchers. You know, I know, like, Darren's concerned about rock salt. You know, Darren wants we have a contract, or you're piggybacking rather, off of a contract with either, some company, I forget which it is. And so I think in state, you're still piggybacking off the state contract. So we needed some agreement with that vendor, but that's like that's an easier one to do, right? The town board authorizes this vendor for rock salt or road salt. So we've got however many hundreds of thousands of dollars for salt, and it's going to purchase that. It's like that's the easy one. It is like the miscellaneous stuff. Like, do you want to just authorize them to purchase from vendors for miscellaneous? You know, I mean, it's really their product catalog, and then Darren and Greg and the department heads would have discretion as to what they buy, as long as they're in their budget, and then you end up looking at the vouchers.
I think there's there's a dollar threshold associated with this too, isn't there?
No, not.
Zero.
Yep.
Really, literally, it is at a penny.
Unless you've delegated them the decision-making authority to purchase, it is $0 that you have to review everything.
Well, maybe that's the solution. There's a reasonable dollar amount there. So
But how many times are you gonna hit that dollar amount?
yeah, but we see them every week. So what I'm saying is that if you with each purchase, doesn't matter what it is. If you wanted to say it's $500 at each purchase or something, you can't spend $5,000 and then we see it after the fact. But with some of these smaller purchases, we're seeing these every week.
I know that, but you see a $500 in January, and you see a $500 in March, and you see a $500 in April, and at some point it becomes an aggregate, and that's the only issue that I really.
But the
wonder where to
aggregate
address.
on what line item? Because if the budget line item isn't there, then they need to come to us anyway.
If it's not in the budget, they can't spend it. I have no problem with the department spending their budgeted money. It's when they haven't followed the procurement policy and they've gone out and procured services that should have been either by quote or by RFP.
Okay, now
And they
you're
haven't
talking,
done-
right, now we're talking about
Okay.
services, not purchasing something at Lowe's.
Absolutely, that's where this whole discussion came up with, is that we had an electrician that was paid
That's-
$48,000.
Yeah, that's different, right.
And that kind of stuff. The printer discussion, I don't want to have a printer discussion. If they need a printer and there's a line item in
Then
their
they can buy
budget,
that.
here it is. They make sure through Kevin's office, like when we were putting it through, do I have $1,500 for a printer? If I do it.
Buy it.
If I don't, then we got to make some other arrangement.
Right.
But that's the
But the piece you're
control.
specifically talking about is services.
No, because public works is service and procurement is 20,000, public works is 35. So once you get past that aggregate of that dollar amount of 20 on product, then it becomes a procurement issue as well. At the state, that's the state level, that's when it's gotta be something different. We have our own internal policies on procurement that does not distinguish between services and product. It is a dollar amount.
Should it?
a conversation, but at this point it doesn't, and I am solely more concerned about the procurement of the public works issues that were in that report for those vendors. So, you know, that's the stuff that I don't think is getting back and getting followed, and we haven't done a single RFP for anything that was a problem in 2025, other than professional services. So that's, and couple that with the conversations that happened, you know, a month ago with the state that came in, I'm concerned that that's gonna be an issue. And I don't, if they come back in, I'd like to at least be able to, you know, the town board show them that we're cognizant of it. Here's what we're doing in progress, and it may not be 100% solved, but we're moving forward. At least we're not sitting here doing nothing.
So are you looking for the procurement file to be included with the vouchers when you review? And then, you know, so if, again, I'm just gonna pick on Lowe's. There's a receipt from Lowe's for a shovel. You want the, well, so your procurement policy requires, you know, quotes from at least 2, ideally, when the procurement exceeds, I think it's $5,000. Anything less than 5,000, you don't need to get quotes. You just go and buy one.
Well, you have to at least do the due diligence to obtain a dollar amount. And if the due diligence is logging onto their website and saying it's $50, that's part of the record.
Right. And so do you want, like, I don't know how these guys are buying things from Lowe's. I mean, when something's really small like that, what is the compliance with your procurement policy? And this is not for me, this is for the department heads. What is the backup information that you'd like to see for those purchases? You know, but the procurement of shovels would only require quotes being procured if you're buying more than $5,000 worth of shovels. You know, so it's not just buying anything from Lowe's exceeding $5,000. It's buying one type of thing or one thing in particular that exceeds the 5,000, because each of them are separate procurements from a procurement perspective. You know, that's why, as to Gene's point, you have to look at the 12-month rolling as to what you expect to buy. Well, actually, calendar year, what you expect to purchase of that thing. That's where, when I was talking with Greg about the chemicals, a lot of the chemicals, you know, it's like $28,000 that he spent with a chemical company, except it's actually like 6 different chemicals. And you have to look at the procurement of each of the 6 separately, because he could get them all from different sources. And so it actually makes it looks like it might be something that's problematic, but when you really drill into it, it ends up not being the problem that it looked like.
I don't know where we're at, what we're just talking about here. I know we're making things a whole lot more complicated than I think it has to be. Like you say, we see the vouchers all the time. And inadvertently, you might go over top of a threshold that, yeah, you went over top of it, but it wasn't done, I just wasn't keeping track of it. But, you know, we're having a hard time keeping bookkeepers here and stuff, you know. I can understand why they're saying Town of Shenango, it's crazy. They want too much detail and everything, and it's not, we're not getting what we think we have to have. I think we're overanalyzing. I think we're paralysis from analysis. And I think it doesn't have to be this crazy. That's my opinion. I don't know what you're coming after, Gene, specifically. I know you're very passionate about it. You're not explaining it that well to me.
So
And,
we are the stewards of the public money, and that is our charge.
Totally agree.
So my expectation from our purchasing is that we stay within our budgeted items. And we follow state laws on the procurement. We've got flexibility in there, but when a purchase is made that goes over a budget line item, we have not in the past done anything about it except later on done a line item adjustment. There's been no accountability back to the department heads to let them know that that's been a problem. And there's no way to fix the situation.
That can't happen after the fact.
Is there
I
something-
agree with that 100%.
Is there something in our software that can keep track of all of these individual things and let you know when you're over top of it? When you go-
Yes.
when you-
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can see that. We can see that when a budget line item is gonna get blown, but they can see it too. So if they know they're gonna do that, they come ahead of time, not after the fact. Like, a perfect example is what Greg's doing here at Hyder Park. He didn't go and blow the budget line item, he came here first, so we can make the line item adjusted, and we agreed to it to make the payment. But to what level of detail do we have to get down, to use Nate's example of a shovel? I'm not there. There's
Yeah.
gotta be some threshold, and maybe there's some amendments to make to the procurement policy. Maybe the differentiation between material and services, I don't know. That's open for discussion, right? Because we do wanna follow state law. And I agree with Gene, we are the stewards, we are the financial stewards, and that's important, that we have safeguards in place. Part of those safeguards is having 3 out of 5 of us look at those vouchers every week. Now granted, some cases it could be after the fact, but it wouldn't be a systemic habitual issue constantly going off if we flag them.
One of the parts of that process is in the abstract construction. That abstract looks at each voucher. This is the line item that it's getting paid from. And before that abstract gets done, it's reviewed against the line item in the budget to say whether or not that check can get cut. If it's a $10,000 line item and $10,000 has already been spent, somebody wants to spend $100, we can't cut that check until the town board does a line item adjustment or does something different with it.
However, that's after the fact.
But
We
it-
need to make them aware that they should be able to see that if they're gonna blow that budget line item with something that they're going out and getting a quote for, and I think that's where you were going with it, we're not doing that.
And Kevin's been doing that when he sends, and maybe that they're not getting it, but I know you send out the monthly budget.
Monthly
Yep,
financials.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Go
that
out.
shows the status of where everything is
Right.
expended.
Percentage, yeah.
There's very few departments that go through that and pay attention to it.
But that's part of the process that I'm relying on them to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Every department head should be looking at this and understanding their budget lines and where their each line stands and what they're spending on it. But there's only maybe one department that does. Because I know that they do, because then they come to me with all these mistakes. Or this is wrong, we gotta fix this, we gotta fix that. So, it's,
I don't know if that helps.
No, I just want,
So-
so
so-
now,
well,
it did help me.
Dave, let me interject. So that to me, tracking the budget and the budgeted line items is a different question than the procurement. 'Cause the
Totally separate. You're absolutely right.
Right. And I think Dave's issue is, what's the procurement process, not the budget? Like, understanding, yes, when you need more money in a budget line, don't spend money from the budget line. But I think the question Dave's interested in is, who authorizes the purchase of a shovel?
department head. If it's in their budgeted
I
line,
agree. If those are incidentals within their budget line item,
if they know that line,
yeah.
you have to know your financials. You created the budget, you gave the budget to the board to during the budget process. It just doesn't end there. It goes
And
the
we can
whole
put a
year.
dollar amount to it.
And we have that in place. If we find out from them that that's not working. We find out why it's not working and not necessarily change it, but have the work done in accordance with the procurement policy and the purchasing for it, instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to fix a correction because somebody doesn't want to do it that way.
And I
And
agree.
that, we just gotta go back to what we've got in place, follow those rules, and move forward. And I don't wanna know about a shovel, that's really, that's you guys' level, that really has to be there. It can't, $50 for a shovel, that kind of stuff, that, you just gotta know where your budget item is. I don't wanna micromanage that at all.
So do you guys know where you stand, like, every day, where your budgets are at?
Yes, I go through our budget every month when this comes, we used to get it sent, and I get it, everything's been crazy in the office up there and going back and forth, which is fine. But every month, we get this report, when Kevin puts it on the agenda, we pull it off, and we spend a week or whatever it takes to go over that, make sure everything that we've put in meets our budget, equal out your zero, gets our budget down for that month to where we are. We try to do it weekly, or every 2 weeks, or when we do it. But at least every month, we're getting it to where we are, what we have left to spend. I spent $250,000 in salt. I'll give you an example, $250,000 in salt already this year. I have another $50,000 left to spend within that budget line. We can order some more if we need to. So we know where we're at with those lines. And those come off a state contract. We're obligated to work off of that contract with the salt process. You can say it's piggybacking, whatever it is. When the state sends it out, they do it, and they tell you what company you're gonna, which is the one for your area to pick. I can't go choose salt from anybody else. I've gotta use this one vendor, and that's who they stick us with or give us to us. And then we can try to call if we couldn't get salt for a month this year. I couldn't get it from anybody else. I'd call them and they said, no, we can't supply you either. So salt is basically, I use salt as a big example because we are restricted to a T pretty much where we are and the amount we get. So we budget the amount of salt within that line and keep it there. Line items, certain things, if we're in equipment side and say a truck breaks down and we need to do a transmission on a truck, we go do our due diligence, get our quotes on that. I pick out the quickest, the quickest and and cheapest as best we can. We get it in there, get it done. That may mean that something that I probably wanted to do that this year, because I can't do it, I don't have the money there, then I wait and see where we're at, and then we can come to you, ask at that point. And I think that's where, if I understand it right, is where we're looking at this from standpoint. I can't judge that we're gonna go out today and do something and break 3 shovels or whatever happens, and then have to wait 2 weeks to go back and do the jobs because we don't have that proper equipment. I agree with Eugene that that's something that we should be able to handle within our own budget, because I put a budget together, understanding what we do throughout the year as best we can, staying within those line items without doing anything different.
If you guys are going out and getting quotes, I don't care if it's a verbal quote, written quote, or an RFP, your responsibility is to provide that to the lowest responsible bidder. You're going out for quotes, that's your main function.
Right.
Unless you're stipulating some other need that prioritizes cost over anything else, then you've got to give it to the lowest one. That's the system that we live in.
Right, but if he has
And that's-
that documentation,
and that-
that satisfies the audit.
Right, and I
Right.
have all that. That's what I'm saying we do.
And
The
then-
only circumstances that I run into, and I'm gonna upfront, because if I have a truck that has a transmission down in the middle of the winter, and we need to get a transmission, we're getting quotes. Somebody may tell me they can't get it in for 2 months or a month. It may be a couple $100 difference. They're all gonna be within the same, but I go with the one that can get it in and out.
I don't know what latitude you have with that, but we don't have a best value policy in the town. So you've got to make sure that those quotes and those questions on the services include the language
Right.
that give you that,
Right.
that give you that latitude. You don't have it.
Well, that's right. When we put the quotes, when we ask for all that, we do that. We ask for a timetable. This is where we're at. We put it all out there for them.
Documented.
And they all get, everything's documented through our mechanic. He has it, and it's all on our, we have the software. It all goes through that software, everything.
So then, I think again, the question would be, let's say it's, what's a common cost for fixing something like that? Any idea?
$3,500.
So it's $3,500. Who authorizes that?
That has to be the town board.
So at what dollar threshold?
Even if he has even if he has that repair line in his budget
Yeah, because at that point, at that level, yeah,
for 3,500.
yeah. Unless he deems that an emergency, which he can do, but he's gotta do that. And if you're in the middle of a snowstorm, and I think there's practices in place that allow you to have that latitude, but you've gotta make sure that you're doing it the right way every single time. Off, that's gonna be a problem too.
And I would like to wait for that report to come back, because I explained some of this stuff to that guy when the guys that were here doing it. And from their verbal comments back to me, everything we were doing and documented and showed them, they were very happy with at that point. So I I'm trying to be honest of where we're at with what we've been doing, so. I can't wait, because if the truck goes down, I can't just sit here and wait for 2 weeks or a week and a half to come to the board and
No,
say,
and I
I
think
got
we've established that
$4,000.
you can document some of that
Right.
latitude.
So we talked about adding to your procurement policy specific emergency authorization for department heads, but I think you folks declined to add that language.
Right. But as a highway superintendent, he can do that. Whether he's got grounds to or not, that's a different issue, but he can do that. That's within his purview. And it's within Kevin.
How about Greg with a water breaks type stuff?
Kevin would have to do that.
We did talk about that last time.
All right, where are we with discussion on this?
No, Gene brought it up.
Yeah,
This was the attorney report.
I've
been finished.
I'm really interested in still getting the report for the public works contracts that we did improperly in 2025, so that we can do them right in 2026. And I haven't seen that. Discussion is whether or not you want that report done or not.
My sense is you think there's quite a number of them.
Yes. I don't quite see it as the big lift that you did, because even if there's 25, which I think there is, it's just the aggregate portion of it. If you hit the aggregate, then you've got to dive into whether or not you can piece it apart by product, which is a different discussion. But we exceeded the 20,000 several times, and we exceeded the 35,000 just as many times on different vendors. Or it was below it, and we didn't have the quotes and the RFPs for
The documents.
for that. Yeah.
It's worth looking at. That's what you think it is, it's probably 25.
From the notes that Nate flagged, plus the ones that he didn't flag that were underneath those, that were significant enough that at least needed to look at how they were procured to get to 10,000, 12,000. That didn't exceed the state threshold.
So who's putting that together? So how are we doing this?
But can we put it on a future topic just
Sure.
to address that? Give us a
Yeah, 'cause
couple of weeks to think about it?
Yeah, because you can even do it in parts, right?
Mhm.
You can take your high dollar amounts, whatever it is, to 20,000, whatever those are, and break it out, as opposed to trying to collect all this and wait for all this to come in.
Yeah.
Right, because there's some higher dollar numbers that we're gonna wanna see, and then there's others that are gonna be lower, under the state threshold, but still above ours.
Right.
Okay. All right, good, future topics?
Thank
Alright.
you.
Good for the attorney's report?
Oh, I've been set for a while.
All right, supervisor's report. Everybody saw the monthly financials?
Yes.
All right, a couple other things I have. Alex questioned me about the comp plan. Do you want him to be participating in the comp plan throughout the whole process, or only when engineering is needed? He asked me what my take on that was, but I feel that's a board take. I don't have the right to tell him if he should be at every meeting or not. How does the board feel on
My
that?
opinion is when engineering is needed.
I agree, but I don't know how to, I don't know how to say that it's not needed in the discussion, so I think it's an outside service, but I would like him to be there.
Because it would be out of scope,
Yes,
correct?
from my opinion anyway.
I just know I get included on all of Molly's emails, so I'm not sure which, you know, am I supposed to read every one of those, or just what's addressed to me, or?
Do you want me to have him take you off the emails? I don't know. What do you,
It's okay, it's not a big load, just make sure I know what you guys are expecting of me.
if I see an engineering thing come up, I'll give you a
But
text.
I'm not the community committee piece at all, correct?
I don't see, you're not on the community
No,
committee.
no.
Committee.
No.
Citizen committee, you're not on.
Perfect.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not sure we answered the question.
Yeah, the question was whether or not he should attend the meetings or
The
not.
monthly citizen meetings.
Yeah,
What's your question to me? What's your question to the board?
I know I'll have out-of-scope involvement that you'll ask of me as time goes on it, but the community meetings I'm not involved in was what I was checking on.
And that was my thought on it
Yep.
as well.
I would want you to participate, or attend them, not necessarily
At the,
participate.
at the community meetings?
Yeah. There's only, how many of them are there?
A dozen
9?
at least.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a big,
All right, just confirm, you guys always made me confirm what I have, what's extra out of scope.
Just say that again. We already had confirmed what was out of scope.
Out of scope, I have to have you guys confirm it, so I'm just confirming that tonight, if I am attending those or not, and if I am, then that's fine, I just need to know from the board.
Do we need a budget modification?
Not yet, but we will.
No, I think you have a comp plan
You have a line for out of
Yeah.
scope.
Correct, and
You
you've
have out of
told,
scope.
you've got a comp plan line, you told me that if I have anything to bill against that.
well, what, if you're reading the content of the correspondence for it, and you're looking at those correspondences from the town engineering's perspective, and if you attend the first 3 meetings and give feedback to the board on whether or not you think there's value in there, or if you ask the citizen committee to tell you there's an engineering item coming up in 2 months, we need you for that one. I have no problem with doing something like that, feeling it out, but
Okay with me.
it's up to you guys. You know.
I mean, I'm okay with that. We're all attending the one on the 31st, so I would ask you to attend that one at least.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, we can have that discussion. I think we have a meeting on April 1st. But I think the first couple of meetings, just to kind of see how that feels out, because I don't know how that's going to go either, which is probably the reason why we're all attending the 31st as well. So please put that one on your schedule.
Okay.
All right, thank you on that. Bookkeeper, we only received 2 applications that were approved by Broome County with no experience. So, Broome County okayed them, but if you want to look at the applications, I didn't even put them on here because we're not done yet.
Okay.
with, I think we were going one more week with it. I think we did to the end of the month, but just to give you an update on that, there was 2 applications. And there's looking at a couple different other sources of bookkeeping. So,
Are you-
Oh, options?
so some other options,
Okay,
but
good.
I will hopefully have something together for the next meeting on that.
Are you surviving in the meantime?
No, but we'll get there. We'll survive. So that brings me to my next thing is I'd like to ask for a little bit more pay for Jody. She is assisting with the bookkeeping process as of right now. She answers all the emails that come in. She answers questions, looks through all the files. People have questions here. She does all the building of the draws for the wastewater treatment plant. Does worked with Municipal Solutions on getting those paid, getting all the draws and the checks vouchered and paid for the whole project. She's working on paying the bonds. We have numerous bonds that come up, all of a sudden they just come in via email, or she is arranging to make sure we keep paying on the bonds. She's been trying to work with Dwayne on trying to understand or have him help her she does 75% of the payroll, but she used to just hand over the end, like where to pull the money from and stuff. But she has access to the system. She can do all that. She just wants Dwayne to show her how to do that, so it's not a process that we're paying him to do. She can do it, of what lines to take it out of. So she's trying to work there. All I'm looking for is to boost. She's $22.06 an hour right now, $22.06 an hour. I'm asking for a $3 additional hour pay for her to bring her to $25.06. I mean, basically it's $105 a week. The bookkeeper was $877 a week that's not being paid out right now. So there's plenty of money in that line to be used for that.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate to do it as a stipend, because the work's gonna end when a bookkeeper's in place? I wouldn't wanna.
It's up to you. I was gonna bring it up either way. She mentioned stipend, and I said hourly rate just because I thought it would be easier, but if you think a stipend's easier, then
I think a stipend's easier because it's very difficult to reduce that pay back down, because it becomes part of it. So I'd like to keep the bookkeeper and activities separate from that. And do that as a stipend through the transition until we get somebody on board and up and trained.
okay. It's confusing up there because she does do a lot of the bookkeeping stuff, even while the other bookkeepers were there.
Right, but that's part of, she's not working more hours.
She might not be working more hours, but she is working
She's working,
harder.
And I'm not saying she's not, but that extra bit that she's giving to get her work done and do the bookkeeping and do all that stuff, I think that's reasonable for what she has to do. That's why I think the stipend's more appropriate.
Okay, how would you like to do the stipend?
You proposed $3 an hour?
$3 an hour, it's $105 a week, 35-hour week. How long do you want to go for? Or do you want to just do it?
Do it for 2026.
Do it-
Do a budget number for $105 a week through the rest of the year.
Okay. So you want to pay her a stipend? I don't know how many weeks are remaining in the year, but
13, there's about 30, there's gonna be about 39.
39
For-
remaining?
Would you say
41
40?
weeks. 41 weeks.
Okay. because we're halfway through May.
$4,200?
Yes.
So we'll do a stipend for 4,200?
For the line item, yep, and then you're doing it, it's not gonna be one payment of 4,200, it'll be a stipend of 105 a week,
Yeah, do a stipend of 100, well, it'll be 210 a pay.
210 a pay period.
Yep.
Yeah,
Do 210 a pay period, and I will pay it out of the bookkeeper line.
Yeah.
I mean, is everybody okay with that?
I
Yep,
am, yes.
I am just because we'll have to do an adjustment when a bookkeeper, may have to do an adjustment when a bookkeeper is put in place.
Yeah, but
Or whatever options you come to us with and we do something, so.
Would you have a resolution authorizing this? Do you want to go retro? Unless you, well, I don't know, she's already doing it now, right? So if you do it by motion, I don't know how many days retro you need to go today, but if you do it by resolution on April 1st, you want to go retro.
Brought it up today, I would go back to today. I mean, that's when,
yeah, so go back 2 weeks, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
If we do the resolution in April 1st, the pay period started this week.
so retro to Monday.
Yes.
Right.
that'll do.
All right, everybody's all right with that? Thank you. She'll keep her happy, keep her working. That's all I have for the supervisor's report. On to resolutions, 9.1.
Approving abstract number 5.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
None.
None.
Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
9.2, I believe you, after your discussion, will not be taking action on this tonight. 9.3, scheduling a public hearing on the community residential facility proposal.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
None.
Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
9.4, resolution acknowledging appointment of Amanda Bixby to the planning board.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
None.
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 Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
9.5, resolution authorizing partial forgiveness of a water bill.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
None.
Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
9.6, resolution authorizing budget transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
None.
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 Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
9.7, resolution authorizing hiring of DPW laborers.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
None.
None.
Mr. Slota is absent. Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Warden?
Aye. Okay, 10.1, future topics.
Did we have to do something with the EDUs for the assessor before a certain time?
No, we discussed it. We're working on it.
Okay.
We discussed it, right, Greg? So,
It seemed fairly important, so I don't know if
well, it is doing, we're working on it, all right? There's nothing we need to do as a board. All right, for the 4-1 meeting,
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, it was just the procurement.
When would you like to do that?
If there's time for 4-1, there's not, the next meeting?
Gene, I'm thinking we might want to do that on the 15th. We've got public hearing, next meeting. We've got the salt shed discussion.
Got the salt shed next meeting, you
Yep.
got the
Carmichael
vestibule.
Road.
Are you bringing, is the vestibule gonna be on the next meeting? You're gonna send all the stuff out, do you guys wanna have it back on?
Put it on, and if
Okay.
we don't get it, then we don't discuss it.
Yep. We had, those will just be budget transfers, but that'll be under resolutions. Most of the stuff's under resolution, so we do have the public hearing, like you said. And we do have a presentation in the beginning of the meeting.
For,
Sheriff,
I'm sorry?
I believe this one is for the sheriff?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is that, Broome County, that's the BCSO?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the do we want to have a conversation or a discussion about, the complaint from Mr. Arnold?
Yes. I think we should.
Okay. For 15?
Probably.
It'll give me time to research
me
the
too.
code
Yeah.
and.
You want
Greg?
that?
With the complaint from Mr. Arnold on the water, if we have that, if we put it on the 4:15 agenda, it'll give you enough time to get us the information on what it relates to in the backup documentation for it?
I'll get with you on it. I started it already with Catherine today. So
Okay.
I can get
Oh,
with him
I
and start
didn't mean
filling
to
him in.
jump,
But if
sorry.
you want to put, I was waiting to see when you wanted to do the April 15th meeting, and I'll
Yeah.
get with him and get all the backup material.
Okay.
With that climate smart grant, maybe part of the C-Plan development, and we're going to be having our first meeting already. I know they're not getting back to us about any information, I guess, so how far do we go down the road to find out, in the development of the C-Plan, to find out anything that have requirements? I'm just wondering, since we start the process on the 31st.
Well, I think we have to start regardless.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be nice to understand the terms and conditions of that, but I think if we can't get them, maybe return the grant. I don't know what the difficulty is in sending out what the terms and conditions are of the grant. It seems very odd to me.
Just bringing it up.
And we can't get them? Is that the issue?
They don't
Seem to
reply.
be non-responsive.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, we can, whatever. I can try. I mean,
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
you
have a
have.
grant administrator,
Right,
but
I
we
understand.
can.
I understand.
You would think that they would send us paperwork if they want us to accept the grant.
I understand, but if they don't, I'm happy to return them.
Can I get a highway report on it for the first? I have, under that, a few things to discuss, road work schedule stuff, possibilities, possible truck replacement discussion, and, sale of surplus goods. Under the sale of surplus goods, is it all right to possibly get a resolution put together and add to the resolutions if we so choose to do it at that point, so I can move along with the sale of surplus goods?
I have no
Wanna
problem.
discuss it first.
I'd prefer to discuss it first. So, and have everything in place.
So I'll just have it all together.
Okay.
Go under my highway report. And then on there is the Carmichael Road thing. I did bring that back up, but I just need some clarification. Where do we want to go with that, and where do we stand? Because I was under the impression it was supposed to be taken care of last summer, and everything got done, so. I just want to know if we want to stick with these guys to redo it, or if we want to get somebody else in there that's going to get it done and taken care of.
All right, we'll have the discussion.
I don't know, what do you want for a backup? Because I don't think I can get our prices yet.
So do you
Oh,
want
you
to
can't.
push it off to the 14th or the?
When will you have price for that?
Try to get it on the following one,
Okay.
so you can push that one off if you want, if I get prices for it, for us to do it.
Yeah, let's have a discussion on that. Let's settle that once and for all.
So 4:15 on that one.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have 2 sewer pumps that I have to purchase in my budget. I have quotes. I get that in my report for the next meeting, so I can get this approved.
The sewer pumps he just told me together, the two of them are about $11,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
put it
Yeah,
put it
that's
together,
within
yeah.
Yeah, for our policy, absolutely.
Yep.
So we're going to do a highway report and a DPW report next.
That's all I'll have.
Yeah, he just has the sewer pumps.
Yeah, but you'll
Approval.
do DPW report, he
Yeah.
wants highway report.
But that's for 4-1, right?
Yes.
4-1, yep.
4-1.
And, oh,
Yeah,
Yes.
regarding Greg, just to be real clear, so are you all saying he can go ahead and put the purchase order in, and on 4-1, he's just reporting to you with the backup of the quotes, hey, I purchased this thing? Or do you want a resolution authorizing him to make that purchase on 4-1?
Resolution.
Yeah. Because other than that, it's after the fact. And if that's violating our procurement policy, we can't do that. We're going to have that discussion. But for this particular one, I agree. It needs approval by resolution next meeting, then he purchases them.
There you go, Greg.
So hypothetically, what I've done, I had a lift station that went down. We are in the process of upgrading the lift station. I removed a pump, put it in the other lift station that only had one. Now I'm down to 1 pump in each one. The 1 pump should be on bypass pumping middle of next week. I think I'm safe there. I'm going to take the pump, put it in the other lift station. My only concern is if the other one dies in the meantime, I don't have a backup. But I also have the problem of it's a 2-week lead time as well. So, I'm gonna report to Kevin if this deems to be an emergency between now and then.
Yes.
I think it's an
I think
emergency
it's an
now.
emergency now.
I was just gonna say, I think it's an emergency. If you're explaining it that way, right now, right here, I say that's an emergency.
That's a
But
health
that
and
goes-
safety issue.
Well, huge health and safety issue.
But that's still the process
But
that
that
you
was,
notify
that was
Kevin.
property. If you would have
Yes.
notified me that yesterday, but you didn't explain it like that to me.
So then Greg's report to you should include we made an emergency purchase of XYZ because of this, that, and the other thing. I spoke with Kevin on such and such a date,
Yes.
and he authorized it.
And I would like, Kevin.
I would have
you
notified all of you. that-
Notify us that you had that
Yes.
conversation and that it is an emergency purchase.
Yes, I would have notified all
For
you.
the health and safety for the public health.
Order that up. I don't want to be dealing with that. Order that thing up.
I'm trying to just
You've got it.
I
You
get
got-
it.
You got it exactly.
I get it.
save money. We're upgrading these things.
Okay, no problem. All right, I think we're,
750 feet of bypass pumping, you can't do that.
15th for the procurement policy, right? Or wait,
Yes,
we weren't
Yes.
doing it for the next meeting,
No, the 15th.
4:15.
4:15.
That's what I have in my notes.
I think we're pretty good for next meeting, unless somebody has anything else. No. Not gonna happen. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to add for futures?
No.
We're good?
Oh, just, can we get an update on where we were set with the time clocks?
What do you want to know?
Just, last time we talked, they weren't installed. They
Oh,
were
they're
still-
installed. They've been being
The
used.
cards weren't, then, not for discussion, if we could just,
You want to update on the time clocks? Who's
Yeah.
using them? Are they, how long they've been using for? Do you want a copy of the cards or?
no, I don't want a copy of the cards. That was the last conversation that I remember the board having, is that we couldn't use them because we didn't have
Oh.
cards.
Okay.
So where they're, how many are installed, where they are.
Yep.
If you, I'll send out an email, what I want for a report, that's all.
Absolutely. Send it out. We'll add that. I can put it under, I'll put it, do you want it on agenda item or you want it on the supervisory report?
Supervisor report's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Anything else?
I have nothing.
All right, moving on. Number 11, open forum. Guests shall speak in an orderly fashion, are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior, which may result in the offender's removal from the meeting. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. Would anybody like to speak tonight? Mr. Arnold, we put you on for April 15th?
April 15th?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we'll hopefully have some answers for you.
Could I say one other thing?
You can, sure.
I'd just like to express that my concern is how my one property, my one structure, could cause the town to charge me double. In other words, I don't think it costs any more to do a sewer upgrade on my property than it does any other house on the street. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Okay.
It's in the code.
Yeah, but I mean, if the code is, something that you can live by, or can you change that, what's the process to change the code so that it doesn't affect, how many duplexes are affected by that?
We'll talk about it on the 15th. We put you on the agenda for the 15th. We'll have all the information on our side, and we can hopefully address your questions. Okay? Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay. At this time, we are going to call for an executive session.
I thought there were 2 issues.
There's, first, I'd like to go into executive session, make a motion to go into executive session over code officer application. Can we do it? I don't. think we-
You can do them both, you just need to identify both reasons for going into the executive session.
We want to just do this once?
Make a motion to go into executive session for code officer applications, applicants, and
The citizens.
Matters relating to the Citizens Shenango litigation.
citizens
Citizens
solar
settlement
litigation. I made the motion. I made the motion. Okay. Second. Any discussion?
None?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Huh?
dwelling is your two, well, like, you know, I've got a bedroom here for this parcel and then, yeah. Okay, I just, most cases, structure has one sewer line. They put some branches underneath the side. Like your case, you might have, you have two lines, tying into one. Just one line, let's go past it. But yours ties into that line. That's still a valid. Two lines tied into one. Right. If they were two separate lines, then they would separate it as single family. No, you're not. This is what, I'm trying to give you a little more clarity on what you're doing. Yeah.
I was thinking myself that I would survive the waters, but it's a little bit different. There were some short results, some I never
Well,
told.
it would have to be the full entire sewer system, not just one. They'd have to change it to the end. It's a gray area. Make it home one, it's a vacant parcel and it has, if you're not connected to it, let's say your neighbor has an empty lot, it's buildable, they're getting assessed DPU. Even though they're not connected, even though they're not, it's if you have access to, so that property benefiting from that sewer line. I'm gonna have, so the parcel more money with that line of property. Sharks with laser beams. I got someone one house. She owns 6 other parcels. So, and I'm like, I guess, what should I do here? Well, what kind of either two lots? Very fine. This is what I'm gonna provide to them, so I just wanted to show it to you before. I think I told you to come here. I'm gonna provide this. No, because there's two lines hooked to that one. It's your line stops. She ties in. You know what I mean? You have one, you know what I mean? You have one, it has multiple. You really only have one arm. But you're tied into. So it's like coming down, the two are tying in. You have every right to change. welcome. I just wanted to show you what I'm gonna give to them, so, just so you know what we're gonna do. Thank you. You too.
That's what I'm guessing. Did you, Gene made a motion to come back in, Jay seconded it? 8 o'clock. Okay, any other?
I just wanted to make the board aware, I did ask Leeson at Barton and LaJudas if I could just observe and listen in on the weekly wastewater treatment coordination discussions. So, you know, it's just observation, I'm not participating at all. I just wanted to listen in just to kind of hear what's going on, get a better understanding of what's happening with the project. Unless anyone has an objection, I'd like to start doing that next week.
It's okay with me.
I have no issues with that at all.
Okay, I just want to let you guys know, like I said, it's just merely an observation, and I will express that to all the parties that are participating in that meeting, that I'm not participating at all and have no authority to make any decisions or comment.
I went to one of the second one or so. Mike had me go with it, but, so I went to one already. Maybe it was illegal, but I went to one.
It's not illegal.
It wasn't, but I will just kind of warn you that you will get trapped.
Yep.
with Sidebar conversations, and you're here, what's your opinion? So I just wanted that.
And I appreciate that. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've been in those situations before, and we'll shut them down. Yeah, thank you, Gene. I'm good.
All right,
All right, motion to adjourn?
second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.